Morgan here for Onefinity, and today it's all about lasers. One of the questions we often get is, I want to get a laser, but I don't know which one. That wasn't really a question, was it? Well, either way, today we're going to test out all the lasers we offer side by side and hopefully give you a better understanding of the advantages of each so you can decide which one's right for you. First, let's talk about the different types of lasers that are commonly available on the consumer market and the differences between them. The three main types of lasers you're going to see out there are CO2 lasers, fiber lasers, and diode lasers. CO2 lasers are those big escape pod looking things. They operate on a 3-axis rail system like most CNCs and 3D printers, and the way they generate light requires a lot of hardware. Hardware that's all contained within a single unit. And that makes them big, really big. Don't get me wrong, they're awesome. They're fast and powerful, and they're capable of cutting and engraving a wide range of materials and quickly. But those materials have to be able to fit inside of the enclosure, which has a fixed size that won't change. So whatever size CO2 laser you have, that's your limit. They range in quality, size, and price, but one thing is true with all of them. Relative to their cutting area, they take up a lot of space. And that's no big deal if you have a lot of room in your shop, but if you're like me, you don't. Again, they're cool, I wish I had one, but I just don't have the space. Fiber lasers. Fiber lasers are also very cool, and very expensive. And justifiably so. They're insanely powerful and insanely fast. Rather than a laser head that moves around on rails, the laser head is fixed and the light is directed by a series of internal mirrors. Seeing a fiber laser in action is incredible. Whoa. But because of their mechanical nature, the size of material you can engrave or cut is pretty limited. What you got is what you got. And diode lasers. Diode lasers are among the most versatile and affordable lasers available. All the lasers that we sell and support are diode lasers because, unlike CO2 and fiber lasers, diode lasers can be attached to any CNC. And there are a few advantages to that. One advantage, and I think it's the biggest one, is their size. You can add the functionality of a laser to your shop without losing a bunch of space. If you have limited space in your shop, like I do, this is hands down the best way to get into it. Remember, it attaches to your CNC, so the capacity of your laser is only limited to the capacity of your machine. And with Onefinity's Infinite Possibilities program, that can change. If you decide to upgrade your machine at any point, you increase the capacity of your CNC and your laser along with it. So that's the other big advantage of adding a diode laser to your CNC. Much bigger capacity at a fraction of the cost. Now that we know the differences between the different types of lasers, let's take a closer look at the diode lasers that you can use on your Onefinity CNC. We currently offer 4 lasers, all made in the USA by Jtech Photonics, and all of them are plug and play on Onefinity machines and fully supported. We have a 7 watt, a 14 watt, a 24 watt, and the newest one, the mega powerful 44 watt. We're going to test all 4 lasers using the same files with the same parameters and see how they compare in 3 main categories. Then we'll have a bit of fun playing around with different materials. I'm going to test them on metal, leather, plastic, glass, and some other weird stuff. The categories are engraving, cutting, clarity, and material capabilities. For each category, we'll look at the overall quality of the burn, as well as how long it took to execute. Like, you might get the same quality out of several lasers, but a lower power laser might take longer. But the higher power laser might cost more. Really just depends on your priorities, how fast you need to work, and what you want to make. And since we're buds, I gave Jay, the guy that designs these things, a call to see if he had anything he wanted to add. Hey Jay, I'm making a video about the lasers and figured I'd call and see if you wanted to weigh in. So, what's a diode laser? How do they work? Tell me about it.
Hey Morgan, I just happened to be sitting by my Onefinity machine doing a couple projects with my Jtech laser. And I just love these Jtech lasers. They are so versatile. They just add so much to your projects. You can do so much with the 7 watt all the way up to the 44, engraving and cutting. I mean, the applications are almost endless. And then I also get asked, what is a diode laser? A diode laser is a semiconductor diode laser. That means it's made out of semiconductor. In this case, it's indium gallium phosphate. And it's based off of some patents and some research done by Korea and University of Santa Barbara in the early 2000s. And it just actually won the Nobel Prize a few years ago. So we're using some pretty high technology stuff. The blue laser diodes are 445 to 455 nanometer wavelength. Nanometers are super small. They're 10 to the negative 9th power. So you're talking about a very small wavelength of light compared to a CO2 laser. Black and wood and other materials cut just great. What is a diode laser? That's a diode. So how do we get the 7 watt? 7 watt is just one diode by itself. The 14 watt is two diodes. And how do you get two diodes together? Well, you can have a beam polarizing prism, so it's like a beam combiner. Sometimes it's also called a beam splitter if you're going the other way, but the 24 watt, well, that's four lasers combined. And so you can only use two through a beam prism. So the 4 needs to be knife edge, so it's going to be mirrors all lined up perfectly in 1 degree separation so that the focal lengths are going to be almost on top of each other, and it makes a nice little square. So it's just a great addition in general to your CNC machine. You get two machines in one. It's just great. It's a great addition. I love talking about lasers. So thank you so much for letting me talk a little bit about lasers. I can go on and on and on.
All right, let's start with the engraving test. I made a grid of squares, all of which will be filled, meaning that the laser will burn the entire shape, not just the outline. From one side to the other, we'll progressively increase the strength of the laser and the speed of the machine. The strength will range from 10% power up to 70% power, increasing in increments of 10% in each column. The speed will range from 25 inches per minute up to 175 inches per minute, going up in increments of 25 inches per minute for each row. This will show us a good variety of settings so that you can easily determine the best settings for the design you want to engrave. Oh, and I programmed all these tests with a software called Lightburn. There are several versions of the software, but to run these diode lasers, all you need is the $60 G-code license key. I'll put a link in the description for you. First off, let me go ahead and say I realize that the higher power, lower speed settings on the 24 and 44 watt look awful. And yes, I expected that. I wanted to run them all with the same settings so that you could best see the differences between each one. For the 7 watt, it's looking like the sweet spot is right along here. And any of these settings in this space are viable options depending on the project. I will say though that I do prefer the look of a lower power, slower speed engraving. After the engraving test, I ran a cutting test. I'm only doing that for the 14, 24, and 44 watt. Just letting you know, if you want a laser for cutting, the 7 watt and the 14 watt probably aren't what you want. Those are best suited for engraving, and we'll get a little bit more into that later. Also, it's important to mention that I only tested the 7 watt and 14 watt lasers on my machinist, which I have mounted on the wall. I did that because only the 7 watt and 14 watt can operate horizontally. The 24 watt and 44 watt both have leveling sensors that will disable the diode if they're not firing straight up and down. That's a safety feature to ensure that if for whatever reason the laser ever becomes dislodged from its mount, it won't continue firing into thin air, the walls of your shop, you, or your cat. So if your machine is wall mounted, the 7 and the 14 watt models are the way to go. I'm running all the lasers at 100% power because I want to see just how fast each of these can cut all the way through the material in a single pass, ranging from 2 inches per minute up to 20 inches per minute. I'm running the same test for all 3 lasers on 1/4 inch plywood. I was initially planning on running the same cutting test on 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch thick plywood, but I realized that wouldn't work, and here's why. The light passes through a lens to focus all of its energy down to a small beam. Kind of like how you can start a fire with a magnifying glass and light from the sun. So the laser works best when it's very close to the material. The thicker the material, the harder it's going to be for the beam to get through it because it loses focus somewhere in the middle of the material. But here's the good news. You have a CNC, so if you want to cut thick material, just use that. So I tried cutting this 1/4 inch plywood on the 14 watt, and even at very low speed, 2 inches per minute, it didn't cut all the way through. And that's why I say for cutting, just go with something more powerful. The 24 watt started cutting all the way through the 1/4 inch ply at 10 inches per minute, and the 44 watt cut all the way through right away at 20 inches per minute. So both are capable, and the 44 watt's just going to do it much faster. And just a little PSA here, to keep your lasers performing their best, always use air assist. Air assist gently blows the smoke and airborne particles away from the laser head, giving the beam a clear path to the material. Without it, the smoke and airborne particles can diffuse the light, weaken the beam, and even damage the laser. The 24 watt and 44 watt both come standard with air assist nozzles, and the 14 watt has an optional attachment. Alright, now let's take a look at clarity. And to test clarity, I chose the best setting from the engraving test and used the same speed and power level to burn a photo. I used the same photo for each laser to give them all a fair and equal comparison. That'll show us the level of detail and clarity that we're able to achieve with each laser. I'm running this on a grayscale setting, with the minimum power being 0 for all of them and the maximum power being whatever looked best for each laser in the engraving test we did earlier. The power level of each laser is the sum of how many diodes are in it. And each time you add to it, the size of the beam gets bigger and more powerful. That's why if you're looking for very fine, crisp lines, you'll probably want to go with the 7 or 14 watt. The 24 and 44 watt models can certainly engrave, but they're more designed for cutting. The 7 watt gave us some great detail in this photo with a good amount of contrast between the light and dark parts of the image. It did turn out a bit light, not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. The image is nice and clear, it's just something to make note of. The photo engraving I got out of the 14 watt I think was the best out of all 4. The image is every bit as sharp as the one did with the 7 watt, but slightly darker, and I think just that little bit of darkness made a huge difference in the overall appearance. The transition from light to dark seems a lot smoother, and it did a great job of showing the detail in these textures. The 24 watt is okay, but it's not as sharp as the 7 and the 14, and it's a bit dark for my liking. In the engraving from the 44 watt, I think we can all agree is pretty bad. But again, this thing's designed for cutting, so wouldn't be fair to judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree. Oh, and here's Pete. Okay, now that we've seen how all these lasers handle wood, let's see how they work on different materials. The materials I tested were leather, ceramic, acrylic, glass, and stainless steel. Leather. I found that any of these lasers can easily handle leather. The more powerful ones will do it a little faster, but it's a pretty easy material to cut. So if you're looking to do some leather work, any of them will do. Be warned though, burning leather stinks. It stinks real bad. I made myself a little shop apron in just a few minutes. Little me. Ceramic. I had these ceramic coasters lying around, so I figured I'd take a stab at engraving those too. I used the 14 watt laser on both, one white and one black. I used the same settings on both, and the white one came out a lot better than the black one. I'm not really sure why, because I'm not a scientist, but I play one on YouTube. The 7 watt, 24 watt, and 44 watt with proper settings will also handle ceramic no problem. Acrylic. I'll be honest, I kind of struggled with this one. I've seen diode lasers cut through black acrylic with ease. But I didn't have black acrylic on hand, so I tried a few different samples I recently got. What I learned is that transparent acrylic just won't work. The light just passes right through it. So then I tried a translucent acrylic. No dice. So then I thought, okay, I'll try one that's completely opaque, but it was white. And I guess the beam just bounces off of white, so that didn't work either. They did slightly mark the blue acrylic, and the 44 watt definitely melted it, but it didn't cut it, so live and learn, Glass. This one I was super excited to test out. Some people use paint, some people use black cardstock. So I used this graphite lubricant in a spray can. You pretty much just need something for the laser beam to run into in order for it to process the material. I honestly didn't think it would work at all, but I got surprisingly good results. Well, I got great results with the 7 and 14 watt. They both produce a nice, sharp, frosted glass kind of look. The 14 watt was a little better, but not by a whole lot. But then I ran the same test with the same settings on the 24 watt and the 44 watt. Those lasers produce a ton of heat, and they made the glass too hot, and it broke. I'm sure they'd be fine with more conservative settings, but hey, the point of running these tests was to find limitations, and I did. So, it was a success. Popcorn. I thought for sure this would pop a kernel of popcorn. Huh. So, sorry, you can't pop popcorn with your lasers. Salami. Wasn't great. Public service announcement, salami doesn't really laser all that well. It's too fatty, I think. And the most surprising one of all, stainless steel. While preparing for this video, I did quite a bit of research. I wanted to see if there was a way to engrave steel, and most everything I read said no. A few weeks ago, I talked to Jay from Jtech, and he told me that the 44 watt has more than enough power for it, and I don't even need to spray it with anything. So I just raw dogged it, right onto the metal, and it came out great. I had this knife blade laying around because the handle broke and I planned to make a new one. So I tested the 44 watt on that, running it at 100% power, 10 inches per minute. It engraved the Onefinity logo no problem. It's nice and clear, dark, and it has a noticeable depth, so I'm not worried about it wearing off over time. I also engraved the head of my axe just for fun, and I was pleasantly surprised at how well this laser was able to engrave steel and without any fancy techniques. And that was the end of my laser testing. If you've been interested in upgrading your CNC with a laser, I hope this was helpful. Oh, and I just got these cool holsters that James from Gin Creek Maker Shop designed to store my lasers when they're not in use. That was a lot. And if you've stuck around this long, God bless you. And thanks for watching. Y'all be good.